Deputies arrived and found really a tragic scene is really the best way to put it.
Failing a test is disappointing, but would you really go so far as to kill your entire family just to avoid getting in trouble? In the early hours of October 21st, 2024, a chilling 911 call came in from a distressed 15-year-old claiming his brother had murdered their entire family before turning the gun on himself. What he didn't realize, though, was that another call had also come in from the same neighborhood, saying that this same 15-year-old had actually shot everyone in their family, including his 11-year-old sister, who escaped by playing dead. Detectives and lawyers have dealt with countless cases of youth violence, but this one truly stands out. And no, we're not trying to downplay it. It's a truly heartbreaking story. We're not even done with the year, and here we are, facing another heartbreaking case from King County, Washington, the Humiston family case. This is a recent and ongoing case, and we approach it with the utmost respect. In this documentary, we'll carefully examine the details currently available, including media reports and law enforcement probable cause documents. It's important to recognize that, while the accused has been charged under U.S. law, he is innocent until proven guilty. We'll continue to update you as more information becomes available. Our deepest condolences go out to the family and friends of the Humiston family and all those affected by this tragic case.
That young man is going to be booked today into the King County Youth Center. For lack of a better term, that's the juvenile jail for King County, and that's where that young man will be. Notifications have been made to family members. I think by now, most neighbors have figured out that this is a significant event. We are going to be here as an investigative team.
To kick things off, the Humiston family had 7 members, creating a lively and bustling household. They looked just like any other normal family, happily living in their charming home in the beautiful Lake Alice neighborhood. Now, Lake Alice is a neighborhood located in Snoqualmie, Washington, near the city of Falls City. It's a suburban area known for its stunning scenery and easy access to outdoor activities. And when it comes to wealth, Lake Alice is definitely on the upscale side. It's a place where you'll find luxury cars parked in driveways, beautifully maintained homes, and private prep schools around the corner. You can easily see that the Humistons were doing pretty well financially, which gave them the freedom to enjoy life to the fullest. Those who knew them often called them a dream family, and it's easy to understand why.
It's just very hard to process. I only saw the children in the driveway yesterday afternoon, playing the piano in the garage and just doing the normal things.
It's beyond belief, and we've gotten to know some of the kids that unfortunately lived at the home, and the younger kids especially, the sweetest children. So polite, homeschooled, and it's unfathomable what just happened.
On top of that, Mark had a solid job as an engineer, which really helped keep the family comfortable and allowed them to create some fantastic memories together. But, as we all know, life can throw some pretty unexpected curveballs our way, and that's exactly what happened. Just last month, in October 2024, a neighbor named Bradley Dennis, who lives about a quarter mile from the Humiston home, found himself making a frantic call to 911 at exactly 5:02 in the morning. What he reported was nothing short of terrifying. Bradley said that an 11-year-old girl from the Humiston house had dashed over to their place, banging on their door like her life depended on it. When they finally opened the door, they were met with an absolutely horrifying sight. She had gunshot wounds on her neck and one of her hands. It was a scene that no one ever wants to witness, especially at such an early hour. The girl's name hasn't been made public for her safety, but we'll call her BH. According to Bradley, BH told them that her whole family had been shot and that everyone was dead. The dispatcher, trying to piece together what had happened, asked BH if she knew who was responsible for this terrible tragedy. BH responded, shaking with fear, that she had heard the chilling sounds of gunshots and screaming. Then she caught a glimpse of her 15-year-old brother's face. He was the one who had shot their family.
Looks like we have a neighbor who's calling in as well. They're advising a female from this house came to his home. They advise that there are family members who were shot at.
BH bravely recounted how she held her breath and played dead, hoping against hope to survive the terrifying situation. As for the 15-year-old involved, his name hasn't been made public, but for the sake of clarity, we'll call him Drew. By the way, I post true crime and new cases here every day, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, please consider subscribing. It helps a lot. Now, Drew actually called the dispatcher just a few minutes before BH made her escape, around 4:55 that morning. Reports say he sounded really out of breath and claimed, "He just shot my whole family and committed too." But here's where things get complicated. During his conversation with the 911 operator, Drew allegedly claimed that his brother, Benjamin, had murdered their family and then taken himself out. He said he was hiding in the bathroom on the main floor, shaking with fear. Drew even threw out a possible motive for Benjamin's actions, saying his brother had been caught looking at pornography the night before and was about to face some serious consequences. He insisted he called 911 about 10 to 15 minutes after the last shots rang out. However, what's really chilling is that it seems Drew might have been the one behind the whole thing and had crafted a plan to make it look like Benjamin was the culprit. In the official reports in BH's account, it was noted that she and her 7-year-old sister, Catherine, shared a room. BH slept in the top bunk while Catherine was below. They were jolted awake by the sound of gunshots, and when BH peeked out of their bedroom door into the hallway, she was horrified to see her 9-year-old brother, Joshua, and their dad, Mark, who was 43 at the time, lying in the hallway. BH described seeing blood on her dad's head and in Joshua's mouth. Just then, she saw Catherine get up and walk into the hallway from their bedroom, and that's when BH heard another gunshot and watched in terror as Catherine fell to the floor. BH was in a state of sheer terror when she suddenly saw Drew burst into her room, gun in hand, pointing it directly at her. In a split second, he fired the weapon, and BH felt a sharp pain as a bullet struck her in both the hand and the neck. She recognized the gun immediately as her dad's silver Glock handgun. She remembered Drew wearing a checkered shirt that day, a detail that stood out in her mind amidst the chaos. What's truly unsettling is that after BH had allegedly been shot, she heard those frantic cries of "stop" and "help" echoing in the background. It felt so surreal, like something ripped straight from a horror movie. Then she thought she heard her dad's phone ringing, and it seemed like someone was talking on the other end. In that moment, it hit her hard. Drew was trying to stage the whole thing. She even saw him leaning over the 3 bodies in the hallway, touching their necks and chests as if checking for signs of life. That image would haunt her forever, a traumatic experience that would likely take years to heal from. As if the situation couldn't get any more horrific, Drew walked back into her room. In that split second, BH realized her only chance of survival was to play dead. She squeezed her eyes shut, held her breath, and tried to shrink into the bed as much as possible while Drew stood right next to her. Fear coursed through her veins. She was terrified that any slight movement would give her away. After what felt like an eternity, she finally heard Drew leave the room and make his way upstairs. Even then, she could faintly hear him talking on the phone, and it struck her as odd to be having such a casual conversation in the midst of such chaos. Desperate for help, BH made a daring escape through a fire window and sprinted to her neighbors, Karen and Bradley Dennis's house. As she burst through their door, a wave of mixed emotions crashed over her, relief that she had finally gotten away, but an overwhelming fear about everything that had just transpired. It all felt like something out of a nightmare. Once inside, the Dennis couple quickly began to ask her questions about what had happened, particularly focusing on Drew's behavior at home. BH recounted how Drew had been in a lot of trouble lately for failing several tests at school. As they talked, BH shared details about their dad's Glock. She explained how it was stored in a small lockbox, usually placed by the front door for easy access when their dad was heading off to work. But what really sent chills down her spine was the unsettling realization that Andrew was the only one of the kids who knew the combination to that lockbox. When the police rolled up to the scene, they spotted Drew right away and swiftly arrested him in the driveway. Upon entering the house, they noticed a small, open gun lockbox and an empty pistol holster sitting on a bench just to the right of the main entryway. The home's layout opened up into a kitchen and dining area, with stairs leading up to a loft or family room and another set going down to a daylight basement featuring 3 bedrooms. Descending the stairs, they caught sight of what looked like the boys' room on the left, complete with a bunk bed and a single bed. Attached to that room was a bathroom, where a black and white checkered shirt lay crumpled on the floor near the shower. As they continued down the stairs, 7-year-old Joshua Humiston was found lying on the left side, with Mark sprawled partially over Joshua's legs. In the right corner of the hallway, 7-year-old Catherine was slumped over, and all 3 were surrounded by a shocking amount of blood. To the right, at the bottom of the stairs, was the girls' room, also featuring a bunk bed. From this angle, blood could be seen smeared across the blanket and pillow of the top bunk. At the far end of the hallway, 13-year-old Benjamin was lying on the ground, his head turned to the right, with his feet pointing towards the master bedroom. According to the report, he had a clear bullet wound on his left cheek and a significant pool of blood pooling around his head. He was clutching a black Glock handgun in his left hand, resting on his chest. But oddly enough, there were no signs of blood spatter on either his hand or the gun. Stepping into the master bedroom, they found a big pool of blood on the carpet to the right of the bed, which stretched into the ensuite bathroom. The bathroom door frame was all splintered up, like someone had locked it and then forced it open from the bedroom side. On the back of the bathroom door, there were several blood smears that looked like handprints. A single fired 9mm shell casing was hanging out in the bathroom sink. Near the toilet, Sarah was found folded forward on the floor in a large pool of blood. Along with the casing in the sink, there were multiple fired shell casings scattered all over the lower-level hallway, with a few fired projectiles lying around, including one stuck in the wall at the end of the hallway between the kids' bedrooms. The day after the murder, the medical examiners got to work on the family members, and the findings were pretty intense. Mark, the dad, had 4 gunshot wounds, a grazing injury on his left shoulder, a penetrating shot in his left armpit, another one in his right lower back, and a serious shot to the lower back of his head. The doctors also found that Mark had aspirated blood in his lungs, and they recovered 3 bullets from his body during the autopsy. Then there was Joshua, who suffered a single perforating gunshot wound to his forehead, with the bullet exiting from the back of his skull. Catherine had a similar fate, with 1 gunshot that traveled from the left to the right side across the top of her skull. Sarah, the mother who was just 42 years old, endured a perforating gunshot injury that entered behind her right ear and came out through her left cheek. She also had another penetrating injury to her left eyebrow that lodged inside her skull, which was recovered during the autopsy. But the most shocking case was Benjamin's. He had a penetrating gunshot wound to his left cheek, where the bullet traveled from left to right at an upward angle through his brain, ending up lodged in the upper right side of his skull. What stood out was that there was no scorching or stippling around his wound, suggesting the shot was fired from more than 24 inches away. Dr. Lacey, the chief medical examiner, noted a second gunshot wound behind Benjamin's right ear that showed stippling on his ear, face, and scalp. This wound was estimated to have been fired from a distance of 6 to 24 inches. As for BH, she was rushed to the hospital for immediate treatment and has since been released. Her teacher reported that she's doing okay physically, but mentally and emotionally, she's still really struggling. It's going to take a long time for her to cope with everything that happened. With all that in mind, Drew has been hit with 5 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Right now, he's in custody at the Clark Child and Family Justice Center, which is specifically for kids, as stated by the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Prosecutors are pushing for a hearing to decide whether Drew will be tried as an adult. If he gets tried as an adult, he could be looking at a hefty sentence of 25 years to life. But if the case stays in juvenile court, the most he could face is being locked up until he turns 25, with no additional penalties after that. His defense attorney painted a picture of Drew as a 15-year-old boy who enjoys mountain biking and fishing and has no criminal history. They emphasized that he's just a kid, trying to make sense of everything around him.
Who engages in pro-social activities, someone who's been a positive contributor to his community.
The legal proceedings are likely to be a lengthy and complex process. So, do you think Drew will be found guilty? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you like the way we create these videos and you want to help bring more cases like this to light, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. Thank you once again for watching.